Hello, and you're very welcome to the Town End podcast. We've said we'll do one last one for the end of the season, so therefore it's season 4, episode 40, and we've ended on a nice even number. It wouldn't be the end of the year show unless we do our player jersey giveaway. So thanks to everyone who got involved with our player sponsorship at the start of the season. So we will be doing that tonight. The only way we can do that is using Gally's Wheel of Names. So it's back for another year. Steph, you don't have a wheel of names or any special feature for me, so I couldn't introduce you as anything else.
Yeah, she don't need
talent.
it.
He's the talent.
Special enough for the army, yeah.
The talent that is Steph McKevitt. There we go. Lads, before I suppose we get into the jersey auction ourselves, it's I suppose a good news day for Dundalk Football Club, Gally, and license granted for the first division for next year.
Yeah, and I suppose, in the back of minds, we knew, we kind of hoped and knew that it would be, but I mean, there was always that little bit of doubt given the last couple of months that we've had. I think John Temple alluded the last 10 weeks, I suppose, that it's been a fast 10 weeks in his tenure, but it was always a worry in the back of mind that, we said on the last show as well, out in Black Mountain Records, that, we've done all this stuff, we've got the managers in, we've got, there's a bit of buzz, one or two players might be leaving, but will we even have a license to play football? And look, and that was always the main thing, regardless of where we finished in the league, regardless of the relegation. It was all about maintaining the club and playing football for next season. So yeah, look, delighted with the non-scarp issue as well is kind of resolved as well. And yeah, it's been a good day all around, I suppose. Now we can get back to, like we said, Kieran and Kilduff and Ken can get back to building the squad and looking forward now to getting going over the off season, getting some players in. Yeah,
Steph, I think we were all worried when we heard the massive numbers that was mentioned in the debt, 1.5 million or more. I think the big issue was there, I suppose, is how do we get around those creditors and what way does Dundalk Football Club come out of that? Is it scarp? Is it not? But it looks like we've avoided most of that, and at least the local creditors not seem to have been paid, and there's an agreement for the rest.
Yeah, I think it's best case scenario, really. Like the calculator right after the last game of the season for the minus 20 points deduction and getting us into the playoffs. So we're obviously going to run away with the league now at this stage before we've even the players officially announced. But yeah, look, I think that's what we sort of said a couple of weeks ago, that, well, maybe months ago now, but, get all the small bills cleared up and then try and get an agreement in place to pay off the larger bills over time. And look, everything seems on the surface to be very positive. I don't think anybody could have imagined us being in this good of a position, considering where we were. Like, we're miles ahead of where we thought we were. Even just us from the outside looking in. Obviously, we don't know the ins and outs of it, but everyone that worked to get the license, I believe it's a hard enough process as it is, but it was under a microscope, really, wasn't it? Like, it would have been dug deep into everything, making sure double and triple check and everything. So fair play to everyone involved who had to get that license, and it's great news for us. And then obviously the bonus of not going into scarp and not having to worry about a points deduction, and we start on a level playing field with everyone else in the first division.
Gally, I suppose from Kieran Kilduff's point of view, I'm sure he was trying to twist the arm of many a player to come to us, and they were probably questioning, yeah, but do you have a license yet? So at least that's gone now. You'd hope that kind of means that we can get down to the good thing, and it might not be 12 days of Christmas. This might be like 10 bumper days of Christmas maybe ahead of us.
Yeah, and I think, and it's needed as well, we kind of said, the relegation thing, it probably takes its toll on everybody, and especially people at the club, I know one or two have moved on, Mounts has moved on and things like that, and Jada Kiki during the week, but, to come back then knowing you're going into first division, but to have this it's kind of get out of this rut now. We now know, right, from tomorrow morning on, or even from today, we're now moving forward, pushing forward. I'm sure Kieran Kilduff had to sell Ken Kieran the club as well, because these lads have both come in from the Women's National League as managers. Ken's coming in from a manager's job at Bowes to come in and not knowing if we're going to have a license. Yes, you would have been 75% sure maybe behind the scenes, but there's always that little bit of doubt that might creep in, that you might not get over the line. And look, And that's the most important thing, regardless of how we get on next season, regardless of the rebuilding work that had to be done. The main thing of getting in was going to be, getting this license over the line. And with everything that John Temple was talking about today as well, it's good news all around. With the SCARP, the budget, and look, there's other stuff that was mentioned as well, but that's for the other ears in the papers tomorrow probably. But yeah, look, it's a good day for the club, and now we can just crack on as fans, supporters, gear coming in maybe for the new year, gear, all that kind of stuff, season ticket sales. Look, it can only boost everything going around, and it's a good day all around for the club.
Yeah, Steph, now that Gally's finished his heavy petting, Steph, what sort of a Dundalk Football Club do you think that Kieran can now kind of put together? Like, is it like, do you know, like, it's not going to be like, I suppose we all need to re-engage our level of expectations in this, that we're used to signing top players in the Premier Division and kind of taking them off other teams. Like that won't be the situation this year. But do you think we're potentially still that big name in the First Division?
Yeah, well, obviously myself and yourself looked at a few First Division games last year, and in particular, you were sort of getting a guide from the playoffs to see, like, look, these are probably going to be the top end teams in the division, and you were probably thinking draw it'd be both of those sides in the final, which they did do. So, like, if them two sides are up near around the top of the table, like, I'm not saying we're going to be signing players that are going to be near the top end of Premier Division football, but there's no reason why Luff can't build a squad to really challenge for at least playoffs. I think, like, Dundalk, it will have, like, if you're gonna weigh it up, like, who has more history, like an Athlone Town or a Dundalk FC, like, in recent memory, there's no comparison with it. How big the football club is. Like, imagine the support if we can get a couple of wins, early doors. Like, the support that was shown last year when we were going through the worst of the worst was incredible. So, I think if we can just get a bit of feel good factor, in pre-season, and just try and hit the ground running, because there's no reason why you can't build a very, very good First Division squad there. And there's a lot of people saying, you have to build for the Premier Division, but you have to get out of the First Division first. So, holding on to the couple of players we have already and just building around them. I've mentioned it before. I think we said you want a young, hungry manager, but you're going to have to get the young, hungry players as well. Players looking to make a name for themselves. And I think they'll get their opportunity this season. We've seen a couple of young lads come through from the academy, which was brilliant to see. Them boys only 15. I think 15. One of them obviously played a few minutes at the end. Another was on the bench, and then one we've just seen going on trial to Ipswich Town this year. There seems to be plenty of talent in and around that academy, and it'll only be good for them to be involved in pre-season, see what it actually takes to become a footballer at even First Division level. So, I don't think Kieran Clough will have much problems enticing players to the club, especially now they've avoided the points relegation, points deduction. Like, if you're looking at a 2-year sort of project to sort of get off, now you can sort of look at it and go, look, we can make a push for the playoffs and just see where it takes us. So yeah, look, I don't think he'll have any problems trying to entice players down that are sort of on the fence a little bit, because it's a massive club, biggest club in the First Division. It'd be one of the biggest clubs in the Premier Division for me anyway, if we were still in there. So why not in the First Division too?
Yeah, Gally, I suppose the only problem with the license situation being dragged on is, a couple of players that may be hanging around might be starting to decide elsewhere, or, will they look at other clubs and stuff like that. So I think originally we talked about maybe a retainer list of 9 players. I wonder what that kind of looks like now. And I suppose it's it's Kieran and Ken's job now to fill that out. If you had the wish list, what, last year we talked about, I suppose, like a keeper and somebody up top as well. Is that still the areas for focus, or what do you feel for this team for next year? It's hard to say, I know, because there's hardly anyone in.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, there's a lot of talk of a certain goalkeeper at Lone Minoga. That was all over Twitter, and
funny.
I think what it was. Whatever we have to do, we've got to get a goal scorer in now. Whether or not that's going to be someone who's already there, but that was the obvious glaring problem last year. I know it's first division. I know, but somebody's going to still put the ball in the back of the net. I think the spine of the team for first division in particular, we've got Abe Devon as well, Darrell Hogan. Abe Devon could really kick on in the first division. He didn't set the world alight in the Premier Division for us, but I mean, the first division could be just where we need him. So delighted to get him signed for next season. But definitely, if they can sort out the spine of the team, and like Steph says, get the young fellas in. I mean, I know it's on the 9th, someone who played on the 19th, but the League of Ireland on the 9th is good level. Like Taylor would have had them a couple of years ago as well. The lads have come in last year as well. And, you got to kind of, the most important thing is the spine of the team. You're two strong centre-backs, midfielder, striker, but, if you can hang on to, and we're talking about Taylor, Jada Kiki for me was probably a bigger shocker than Mountney, to be honest with you, because we kind of got the vibe that, a lot of people would have been looking for John to go. And the Premier Division is a big pull. I mean, even if we finished out of the playoffs this year and stayed in the Premier Division, we probably still would have been a big ask for some players to stay in because they mightn't have fancied it again. But look, the two boys have their work cut out for them. But like Steph says, now that today is out of the way and everything's announced and everything's kind of, I won't say it's settled, but anybody they've had on the fence of coming in might now just fancy it, because you come into this squad next year, you get a run at it, you put them back into the Premier Division, or we don't want to spend too long down here. One season is enough for anybody, but if you could be a part of a team and a management setup that can get a team right back up, that's the goal. I mean, for any, especially young players, or players that maybe might have been let go earlier in the season, that mightn't have played since the summer. You've seen older players leave clubs over the last couple of weeks. Love to get someone like.
Do you think it needs to be a blend like that? Experience.
I think it has to be. Yeah, like I don't think you're going to get away with it. If you're building a first division team that's already been in the division for the last couple of seasons and you know what you're coming up against, you might get away with going a bit of a different with really young players. But I think you're going to need that little bit of bite. You're going to need that little bit of nowhere. And look, and Abe Devon, someone like him has plenty of experience. Still young enough, but has plenty of experience. I'd like one or two wiser heads in, maybe. I dare say Gary Deegan from Drogheda. That type of player would be unbelievable. Steph would definitely, if he got himself fit there, Steph would be definitely playing with him, middle of the park, the two boys. But you're going to need someone that's been around the block, someone who's willing to dig deep. Like John Mountney was that player, but unfortunately, look, you can't hang on to players like that. When they're that good and clubs are looking for them, you're not going to hang on to that. So you've got to go and find them. Who fancies this? I don't know. I mean, look, it's a short trip up the M1 for Dublin footballers if you can get one or two up. But he'll need a bit of experience, but I don't think he's going to need a massive amount. I mean, look, only Kieran and the boys will know, but the blend of the youth, like Steph says, and one or two wiser heads could be just exactly what we're looking for. And if you can get a run at the season at the start, and you're part of a setup that, considering the last couple of months we've had to get us back into the Premier Division, or fighting to get back into the Premier Division, the crowd will back you. It could be a hell of a season. I know it's first division, but it could be a really exciting season, a really good season up at Oriel Park for everybody.
Steph, you might know a little about being part of a group that gets a Dundalk team back promoted again, would you?
Yeah, small.
Everybody sit back. It's going to take a long time. Go on, Steph.
No. No, it was the lads that on the pitch that done the business there. So, look, it'll be good to hopefully be back in the mix for challenging for playoff spots or hopefully kicking on even further than that. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be. I don't think the first division, no offense to the teams that's there, I don't think there's any teams down there that you're going to be like massively saying, oh, they'll run away with it. Like last year, you obviously had Cork, who were strong after dropping down, but like when you look around at it, like
I wouldn't have expected Bray to reach the playoff final, like him, for instance.
Yeah.
No, and look, obviously there's 5 spots there. You obviously have the first for the winner, and then you have the 4 playoff spots. So like half. 50% of the league has a chance of going up once the final whistle goes, like, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of teams in there you'd be hoping to beat, and obviously I think Oriel Park is going to be massive for us this year. I think we should be looking to beat most teams there. And, you know, if we can just play a bit of exciting football, you know, the crowd will get behind it. And I think it'll just be like a bit of a wave that we'll just keep riding, hopefully, to success. But yeah, I'm excited for it. Myself and Chris met Darrell Hogan. You know, we were up collecting Eoin Kenny's jersey, and he was really, really excited. Now, I don't know if somebody gave him a bit of an inkling of, you know, the license be okay. We're going to get this manager in. We're going to sign these players or what. But he was really enthusiastic about, you know, rebuilding the club. You know, we're back in the first division, but look, it's not the end of the world. We're still here. You know, we can build a squad. We can kick on. He talked about the youth players in the academy coming through, being impressed by some of them as well. So look, I think we have to put on the optimistic hats again and really look forward. Yeah.
You said like Gally after the President's Cup win. Gally was the only bad news coming out of today. The news that the pitch won't it doesn't want it. I suppose it didn't need to be looked at for licensing purposes, but we won't have a new pitch this season coming.
Yeah, like even a new pitch. You look at we could talk about the grass and the Astro. It is a pity. I mean, look, in a way, you don't have to lift it. It's going to have to go eventually.
Well, it's probably last season on it.
Yeah, it's like, you know, you're putting it all for a year, but I mean, look, at least you don't have to worry about that, I suppose. I know, look, you want a good pitch. Oriel Park is what it is, but at least now that's one racket that they don't have to deal with. Not just now. Let's get down to football. Let's get down to training players. But would you have liked to have it done? Absolutely, because, you know, surface and all, get it. But it's going to have to go eventually. If another year on it, whether you would have, you know, if we had stayed up, obviously would have been lifted. But look, I mean, it's a headache that they don't have to deal with, and they've enough going on in Oriel Park. That the powers to be, the staff, you know, getting players in, you know, worrying about tickets, all this kind of crack for next year's sales shop. It's a headache it's a glaring headache. Floodlights and all is an issue. So yeah, once that's kind of, you know, sorted, I suppose, you know, let's get on with the football. But yeah, it is a pity it's not been lifted. I would love to see it go, because I was actually on it for the Loud School Girls League finals at walk. I was on it most of the day last weekend. It looks terrible, but look, it is what it is. But yeah, look, it's a headache they don't have to deal with, and it's just one less thing off the checklist. And let's get down to everything else.
Steph, I think John Temple said there today that just, you know, when you have to pay off so many debts and debts coming out of everywhere, that's really what pushed back the pitch, because we would have to pay the deposit on everything. So it's disappointing, I suppose, that the opportunity to get the pitch and the floodlights is there, even one of them at this time, but due to these mounting debts, that, you know, that's really what's curved any massive improvements in Oriel Park.
Yeah, and I'm sure, look, they've looked at it and gone, right, we can, you know, defer this for a year or whatever it may be, like needs must. And they've obviously weighed it all up, and they've done what they could. Like, you know, if we had been ploughing ahead with, you know, plans for a new pitch or floodlights and this and that, and then the license isn't even granted because we've been focusing on something else. So look, I don't think you can be too annoyed about it. Obviously, look, we'd all love a new shiny 8,000 all cedar stadium. Do you know what I mean? But you know what I mean? Just, someone has to go and
I know it also means it gets straight into training. A bit of training, they get straight into. They're not waiting for a pitch or anything. There's no point in training on grass over the winter going somewhere else while the pitch is being laid, because it's Astro. So they get straight into it.
And look, I think there's some positive news around the YDC and, you know, different functions that it's going to serve as well. I assume with the players, obviously, are going to switch to evening training if they're going to be part-time, and, you know, that's obviously going to take up slots for the academy. So with the YDC open, that opens up, that opens it up for them to train as well. And I'm sure they won't mind it too much if they're training indoors. Some nights up in Oriel can be rough at the best of times during the winter. But look, yeah, I look, if there was anything you're going to take a hit, and it probably would be the pitch and the floodlights, I suppose, to make sure you got the license, and hopefully,
Yeah.
once steady the ship off the pitch this year, and then everything seems to be going in. I don't want to speak too early, but everything seems to be going in the right direction. We're trying to get everything in place, and I'm sure a couple of months down the line, 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, whatever it is, I'm sure they might look at it again. And I think was the grant deferred. Is that what was mentioned?
I think that's all it is. I think I think what John Temple explained today was initially you have to pay everything up front and then you claim it back from the grant. So that can be deferred back till, like, you can do that later on in the season, so the end of next season, and that will still count as part of that grant then. So I think that's not going to be an issue.
So 100k might come in handy at some stage.
I'm sure it would. I'm sure it definitely would. Yeah, exactly. Gally, it's time for you to take center stage.
It's time. I'll probably blow the whole house up now. Watch. Now, let's see what we're dealing with.
Over to you, Gally.
Names, boys. Yes. So, lads, I want you to give me. I'm going to need a number between 1 and 10. I didn't shuffle this last year, and I got accused of cheating, so I don't want to make any mistakes this year. So, give me a number between 1 and 10, and we'll shuffle it that many times before we draw it.
12.
1 and 10.
Well, then I cut that in half. We'll go 6.
Right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So,
and just for everyone, so thanks for everyone for taking part all season long. So everybody who entered our player sponsorship at the start of the year, which was with Eoin Kenny, everyone's name is now in this wheel, of which Gally's now going to spin and go for it.
Best of luck, folks. There we go.
Please don't be us. Please don't be us. Please don't be us.
Nice.
Again.
Well done, Daz. Congratulations.
Fair shuffle. I can't say much more than that, boys.
Yes.
Well,
fair play. Well done.
He gets our lovely Eoin Kenny.
Controversial as always.
Did he get something before?
I nearly certainly got something. Maybe.
No, maybe a pizza, I'd say, but I don't know.
Maybe it was just a pizza.
The hang session for the last 2 years.
This jersey, if you want to make contact with us, we will make sure we get it to you. It is signed by Eoin Kenny too, so excellent little souvenir to have.
And jersey for 2025 as well.
Oh, so there was my next question. Would you like to see Eoin back?
Absolutely. First division, like in particular, I like. In a way, you'd nearly be surprised that somebody doesn't come in from. Because I think on his day, I think he has it all: pace, head. He can finish. He just probably didn't get enough chances this year. But something, I'd love to see him stay for first division, even if it's just for the first 6 months. Like it was the same with Jabba Kiki. I was really surprised he went. Really annoyed that he went, actually, because I thought 6 months in the first division for him could have been excellent. But look, Sligo have obviously gone in and they've seen the talent that everybody else can see, and that's why Shells were so annoyed that he left to go to the Dock. But yeah, someone like Eoin Kenny, with he's got a good few games in Premier Division. First Division could be just where he just kicks on, and just whether he sees out the season with us, I don't know, but he could be a massive say in the season with goals. I'd love to see him, but I mean, again, would you be surprised if he went? Not really, because you can see his ability. But yeah, for me, absolutely, I'd love to see him stay on for even if it's only part of the season. But yeah, for a full season in First Division, it'd be unbelievable for him, I think, and for us.
What do you think, Steph? Eoin Kenny player sponsorship 2025?
Yeah, get it done. Yeah, look, I think we'd love to see him stay. He's a good kid. He's only learning his trade now, so I think it'd be beneficial for him that he played regular games. I think that'd bring him on a ton. I know, obviously, he was over in Blackburn for a trial. He played a couple of games as well, and there was talk of them coming in and signing him. So it's probably up in the air at the minute, but like that'd be an unbelievable move for him to go to Blackburn, I suppose. And you couldn't really stand in his way or begrudge him that, obviously, but just selfish reasons, we'd we'd love him to stay. And I think he showed glimpses of the talent he has, what he can do. We obviously seen what he done with Wexford in the first division as well. So I think he'd definitely have a great season if he stayed with us. But look, I think there's a few question marks over a lot of the players, like Mayowa as well, and there was talk of him going down the road, but we're hoping that doesn't happen.
Turn that car around, Steph. Do you hear me?
And I suppose if you can keep the players like that, you don't need to go looking. Well, you do. I mean, but you don't need to go looking for those older, wiser players, because they have they have good experience in Premier Division. So you're kind of
like Sean Crow looked so good at the end of it last year, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he was excellent when he came into the squad initially, and then obviously a bit of a drop off. But the whole squad did at the time, and we were playing awful. But like the last 3 or 4 games, I thought he was excellent. I can't remember. I think he was in for a shout, or he did get player of the match with us on the last
definitely the drop of the match. Yeah,
and Paul Crowley was on comms that night, and he was super impressed with him as well. And look, we all know many games he's played in the league. He knows what it's all about, and he was impressed with him. And he's got a bit of recognition getting into the Ireland under-19s squad. And then I think after the second game, he's starting and playing the full 90 minutes. So
yeah,
it shows the level of talent Sean has. So like he's another one you'd love if he stayed. When like at 19, and then he's like he regular starter in the first division, get the minutes under your belt. Like even you look at Ryan O'Kane who moved on. Obviously, the amount of games he's played, like for such a young kid at 21, like that he played over 50 league games for Dundalk or something, or 50 appearances for Dundalk, whatever it was. Incredible, So look, best of luck to everyone who's moved on, but we need to move on now as well. And whoever's going to stay, we need to get behind them. So hopefully, just glad we're not coming up against some of the O'Kanes and Kikis and
That's
that.
True.
We'll hold our abuse until next year.
We'll save it for the cup.
Yeah. Friendly banter.
Absolutely.
Obviously, Martin as well. Big mention for him. So, but yeah, look, I think best of luck whoever moved on, and just whoever stays or signs. Just hopefully it all comes together, and I'm really excited anyway. So
that's the main thing, Steph.
That's it.
Yeah. Look, we just wanted to jump on tonight and have a little chat about the state of play, I suppose, at Dundalk Football Club to do the jersey auction as well. But I think just a little shout out as well to the Shedside Army, who are doing a sleep out for Dundalk Simon community on Saturday night up in Oriel Park. So they do have a GoFundMe currently running there as well. So if you're in a situation where you can contribute to that, I think they're nearly at their target as well. So it'd be great if you're able to contribute and help them hit that target. There will be a meet and greet and a question and answers session up in the Lily White Lounge on the 16th of December. I think there might be 3 fetching hosts there that night to pull through the proceedings as well. And Steph's going to be there too. So that's true. So look, I suppose pop along to that. We'll be kind of semi off duty, as in it's not a podcast, but it's nice to get asked to do something like that for the club then as well. We'll also just like to take this opportunity to thank everybody for watching our live show. The last one we had up in Black Mountain Studios, it was the most listened podcast we've had all year. It was the most watched podcast we've had all year as well. And in fact, it broke a lot of records for all time with us as well. So it's brilliant to get that reaction, because it does take a fair bit of organising to get that over the line. So fair play to Mark and to Kev as well for helping us out on at that time as well. So hopefully it's something we can do again. Absolutely, we'd love to. And if it's something we can do to involve a couple of guests and stuff like that again, we'll definitely do something like that. And we take this opportunity, as always, to thank our sponsors who's been around all season long and nearly for all our seasons too. So for Donal Green and Dundalk Village for overall sponsorship of the podcast. For Vinny, who gave me a big wave at the retail park at the weekend. Tony's Pizzeria. You think he was telling the kids to avert their eyes. That's the man that gives away all the pizza. I think is what he said.
That wasn't a wave.
It was a one finger wave. Just thanks to Vinny and all the crew there in Tony's Pizzeria, and of course to everybody up in PlayerFit as well. We'll definitely do something next year. I think we're unsure of the way this season was going, whether we do something or not, but I think next year is definitely a good position to do something. So we will see about maybe another charity jersey for next year or something like that in the pipeline. That's probably us, unless there's something dramatic happens. I would say that's probably us.
And there is every chance it's even money that it would happen. So there's every chance we could be back on before Christmas. You never know.
Well, the wheel came up. It wasn't one of our names. It's already a good sign. It's a good sign anyway. So I think without further ado, unless we've got anything else, have we?
Just a shout out to me and Gally's mate Sean Judge. I know he's listening in, so come on to town, Sean.
There we go. Well, then until next time, come on to town.